Hello, here we are in Creatures 1. I'm going to unpause it here and just start talking about what this video is about. Previously, we had the carrots that I released an update for. These are the new version here. But in this video, I want to talk about the lemons that are kind of growing on the trellis here. The lemons, they have some issues. They're not too interesting in the fact that there's just a full-grown one, and once it gets eaten, over a period of a couple of minutes, a new one will show up. And it's a little difficult to get them to eat the lemons because there are a few food sources around. And there are also baby Norns who won't really listen to me, so they're going to head off and eat something else. Honey, we're going to ignore the lemons. But basically they grow on the trellis here. There's no growth cycle, so as I said, a new one will just show up over time. A full-grown one will just pop up on the screen and it's not too interesting. More importantly, once a lemon has been eaten, a Norn can still hold on to it for a short period of time. And I wanted these two to demonstrate, but of course, they're babies, they're not listening, and they're hitting one another, which is more interesting than following along with the instructions for this lovely video. So, we'll just forge forward without them. But basically, once a Norn eats this lemon, they can hold on to it, and they can't interact with it, even though they can still see it and hold it. They'll try to eat it over and over again, and it's just very confusing for them. Also, there's the floating or flying lemon glitch, where sometimes a lemon will just kind of float throughout the world for no particular reason. It's a funny glitch, really, because it doesn't really do anything. But these Norns, I was hoping... Would you like to eat a lemon now? Where's your food? Yes, you have the food. Nobody likes the lemons in this group. Well, with all those issues with the lemons, another nice thing about them, similar to the updated carrots, is that these problems can all be fixed. So, we'll jump out of here for just a second and come back and see what the updated version looks like. So we're back, and the new lemons are actually growing. You'll notice that there's actually a growth cycle here. They look like little flowers, and then they turn into buds, and voila! We have lemons that actually look like they're growing off the trellis, off of a little, tiny little stub. I actually spent some time really studying how lemon trees look and how lemon buds look. These obviously aren't 100% accurate or perfect, but they work a little bit better. They'll have kind of variable locations on the trellis, so it looks a little more realistic. And once we pick one, it turns into a similar lemon as what it looked like before. And this one, it kind of has some variable poses it can go into when it's dropped. Nothing too interesting, but that's all right. And now the hard part is trying to get one of these Norns to eat this lemon so that maybe we can kind of see something happen with it, as there's a new pose that comes into play with it. More importantly are the chemicals that are injected here. And apparently no one wants to listen to me here. This is just typical Norn behavior. And they're going to go for all the food items except the one that we want to talk about. But as I was saying, the chemical component of lemons, previously in the original version, there was actually a pain increase that a Norn experienced when they ate a lemon. It was kind of used to simulate the real-life sensation of eating a lemon. It definitely does feel painful. It's not too nice. But it really doesn't help them with eating. They kind of get confused more often. It's a very tiny dose, so it might not have interfered that much, but I took it out just because it doesn't make that much sense in teaching these Norns. And we'll try to get somebody to cooperate with me with the lemons, but these two ladies are just, yeah, doing their own thing. I also increased the amount of starch just a little bit, and the need for pleasure decrease also went up by just a bit. Again, this is a replenishing food source, so there's not going to be all of them at once. So I wanted to make sure that they would kind of give a decent amount of nutrition and help with lowering drives pretty well. Unfortunately, we have a couple of Norns who don't really want to show off their eating skills, except, yeah, let's head off into the garden and eat the carrots. Well, apparently that doesn't prove my point very well. Kind of looks like they don't want to eat that much. Nope, apparently we're just gonna not eat the lemons. Well, the nice part about them, though, is that they finally have a nice growth cycle. So let's jump back over to the garden just to take a look at those again. And again, once they get picked, they lose that little bud so that they look like a lemon, and they can be eaten and moved around. But most importantly, they will not confuse Norns. They use a lot of similar updates in what happened with the carrots, and I'm hoping that this is another element that will help out in your Creatures One world and get those Norns and Grendels to really eat as well as they can. Again, they're not as dumb as they seem when, with the originals, they were trying to do all these other actions with them. They really weren't eating, and it looked like they just didn't know what they were doing, when in fact it was the food items themselves that were not doing what they were supposed to. So, now this kind of takes care of the garden area, where if you have the updated carrots, those will be fixed, and also the lemons. I'm also going to be working on more updates as I go along. More food items are up next, including the honey pots, cheese, some of the herbs and weeds. I know they're not the most interesting or exciting brand new additions, but I really feel like this can help out with improving Creatures One and maybe getting people to enjoy the game a little bit more and reduce the frustration, because believe me, it's very frustrating when Norns don't eat, and it's also very frustrating when these little guys do not listen to me when I'm trying to make a nice video about a new update. But at least they looked cute, and they were happy during the whole thing, so it's good for them. That's about it for now. Make sure to grab the updated lemons if you'd like to add a new improvement to your world. And as always, thanks for watching!